Promo starting now.
Hey, this is Chidua, the host of Out of Ashes Show, broadcasting live each week on Saturday at 6 p.m. Central from Fish Bowl Radio Network Studios. Log on to hear topics that will empower you to create the life that you have been destined to live. You will be taught on how to come out of the ruins of the past, mistakes that you have made that make it seem like you cannot live a happy life. So be sure to log on each week on Saturday at 6 p.m. Central to catch Out of Ashes Show.
4, 3.
Hello, and welcome to today's edition of Out of Ashes Show on the Fishbowl Radio Network with your host, Chidua. And today I have a guest with me, and he is Reverend Dr. George Okafor. He's a counselor, anger management specialist, conflict resolution administrator, and of course, an author. He has authored the book titled Conflict Resolution and Marital Prayers. So Reverend Dr. George is here with me today to discuss the topic, conflict in relationships. Hi, Dr. George. Would you please say hi to the audience?
Hello, audience. I'm glad to be on the show with you all. And thank you, Mr. Shudra, for inviting me.
Excellent. So today, like I said, we will be talking on conflict in relationships because, we are human beings, right?
Yeah.
And we are social creatures.
Exactly.
So there is a saying that no man is an island.
Yep.
So we need one another. You cannot self-exist because we were not created to self-exist. However, as we get into relationships, we bump heads, because we're coming from different backgrounds, different upbringings. Sometimes we have different core values. And then we get into relationship because of certain attractions. There are certain things that will attract a man to a woman, and certain things that will attract a woman to a man. And they choose to be in a relationship. However, certain experiences, especially negative childhood experiences that have been embedded in the subconscious and were not dealt with. So people grow up with soul wounds that they are not even aware of. And they go into relationships not knowing that there are certain things about their past that they should have dealt with. Then these things begin to show up. And because they lack the necessary skills, things like not being validated as a child, physical, verbal abuse, and abandonment, and then what else? Emotional abuse. So sometimes these things cause trauma in a child, right? I mean, as a specialist, you've probably experienced those with the people that you counsel. So these things show up and then in relationships and begin to cause conflict. So let's take something like verbal abuse. Let's take something like not feeling validated as a child. You were not validated as a child. How can that cause conflict in a relationship as an adult?
Yeah. Someone that has some challenges, let me just put them all in a nutshell. Some challenges growing up, which includes all the things you've mentioned. If those are not tackled effectively when the child is growing up, and when even sometimes adults experience some of those at one point or the other. And if they do not effectively tackle them, they grow up with them. And sometimes they carry them into their relationship. And in most cases, it does not yield a positive result in the relationship. And when the relationship metamorphosizes into marriage, it even becomes worse. So it is better to tackle it at the egg stage, quote unquote, egg stage before the child grows up and becomes an adult.
Okay, excellent. So what I'm understanding from what you're saying is that if you were, perhaps you're watching or you're listening and you felt or you didn't feel like you were validated as a child, you probably were that child that nobody took you seriously, you felt that your voice was never heard. Now you are in a relationship and you have a perceived threat that, you know, your partner is not listening to you, so you feel threatened. It makes you feel insecure. So if someone is in the kind of relationship right now, what would be a good way for them to handle it? Because conflict is really not bad on its own. What is bad is the battle. Like, you know, when you have a conflict, how do you resolve it? Because sometimes conflicts are needed, right, to make a relationship stronger. But with this kind of feeling and not having the necessary tools with which to deal with it, so how can it now take the relationship into a negative path instead of strengthening it? So perhaps, like I said, you know, someone is feeling that right now they felt they were not validated as a child, and this is showing up in their relationship. So what advice would you give them as a counselor? How would you encourage them or counsel them so that they can flip it around to a place where the relationship can begin to thrive?
Thank you. Generally, it's not where we're coming from that really matters in relationship, but where we're going to. That in most cases, that we're not well groomed socially, which entails or involves everything that you've mentioned. That does not mean that we could not turn it around for good. So if we're having that negative effect of upbringing, the best way to handle it is to look focused to where we're going and what we want to achieve, rather than what we have felt in the past. So I would say, behold, old things are passed away, and all things are become new. So when we leave the past behind and focus on where we're going, focus on our current relationship, rather than focusing on what mommy did 20 years ago, 15 years ago, or 18 years ago, focusing on what daddy or auntie or uncle did, bringing the blame game into the relationship. That mommy didn't bring me up good, that daddy didn't bring me up good, therefore what I'm doing right now is not my fault. Pushing the fault to someone else. I don't think that would work in any relationship, because what counts is what you as a person is doing right now. So the advice is, leave the past behind and focus on the future, because nobody can change one's future than that person, with the help of God, though.
Absolutely.
So if we keep the blame game and not move forward, then that will keep the person in what I call left, right, without a forward march. Thank you.
Wow, absolutely. I like what you said, because, you know, in one of the sessions I had, I talked about the blame, shame, and guilt mindset. And I also spoke that your past should not define you, that you may have made mistakes or some things may have been done to you. These are things that were done or things that you did. It's not you. There is a difference between what I did and who I am.
Yep.
So just like you said, when we play the blame game, what we do is we absolve ourselves of the responsibility.
There you go.
When you absolve yourself of responsibility, you are pushing it onto someone. So which means you don't think that you need to change.
There you go.
So you're looking at the other person to change. However, you're still dealing with the wounds that have come from the past. And the sad thing is that a lot of relationships that could have been worked out, but because people are not looking into themselves, or because we are not looking into self, we're looking at the other person.
Yep.
Now, we move from relationships to others, and we're still not taking with us the tools. So we go into relationships, those wounds come up again. And then at the end of the day, what do? You spend your days lonely, isolated, and then bitter and resentful of everyone, which shouldn't be. Absolutely, absolutely. And then the past is powerful, but it should be as a the past is supposed to be there to guide us,
Yes.
so that we don't make the same mistakes. So you may have gone through negative experiences as a child, and you probably did not acquire the social skills that would help you navigate through life. If that is where you are right now, there is still hope for you.
Yep.
Because when we come back from a break, Reverend Dr. George will give you tools or advice on what you can do so that you can acquire the necessary skills that would help you navigate through your relationship. If not feeling validated is one of the causes of conflict in your current relationship. So don't go away. We'll be back. They're saying it's coming in. Okay, so are you getting comments? Are people commenting?